Hello everybody, welcome to Marietta's Art channel. Today I am going to be using the canvas that I epoxy resined on my last video, and I'm going to use oil to paint water drops on it. I just love water drops, so join me on this venture. Here are the supplies that we'll be using to create these water drops, and I'm going to be using oil-based paint and as well as liquids. I'm just going to zone in on these and just kind of show you the colors that I'm using to make them, and then the liquid, which is actually a hardener for the oil-based paint. It is amazing. I just love it. So we'll start making these now. I am going to figure out where to put these water drops for the composition. It's important for me to look at the light colored areas and dark so that they don't blend in with the cells, because it would be too busy. All I want to do is add little interest to it and another three-dimensional space to my piece. So first I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and mix my paints, and I'm going to start with I'd say probably the black, which is the top of the drop, and I'm mixing it with liquid right now, and then figure out where I'm going to start the black. And I don't think I'm going to make really big ones. I'm just going to make them a little bit small. Let's see here, we'll start here. I am basically figuring out where to put them by just doing a little half sphere on top here, and then we'll go back and add the other colors. What I'm doing now is just diffusing the black paint because I need to cover the inside of the drop with a little darker color, so to give it contrast on the inside so that it looks like the drop is coming out of the painting, and that's really important to give it a little bit different contrast. The next thing I'm going to do is add some white to the base, and I think I'm going to change my brush now to a little finer tip. That's going to be the bottom edge. Painting on resin is pretty incredible because it's so smooth now. I can really put fine detail on there and just really work the oil paints, which they're amazing. I just love working with oil. They do take time for them to dry, but with the liquid, it makes it really easy. The next thing I'm going to do is add a little bit of interest to the bottom of the shadow of these drops so that it looks even more three-dimensional, and that takes different colorants. So I'm going to add yellow and orange, and then eventually kind of darken toward the bottom, but it has to be the right shape. So that's the next thing we're going to do. I am adding now the shadow for each drop, and it needs to be really undefined and soft, and I plan to put other colorants on top of it. So I'm doing that now just to get that just right for each drop. I have to use a larger kind of diffuse brush for this. And I just love working on the resin. It just makes it so nice. The next step, I'm going to even make that bottom a little bit more distinct on each drop, and I found that if I add a little bit of yellow tint to the white, it makes a huge difference, and it just really sharpens up that whole image. So that's the next step. The next step, I am going to basically just make sure that the upper area is just the way I wanted, the right shape. Some of them are a little misshapen, so I'm just gonna add a little bit of color, mostly black, to it right now, and just kind of work on that. Now we're ready for the finishing touch. It's looking good, but it needs the reflection, so I'm gonna start adding those. And first I have to add it kind of diffuse, and has to be all in the same direction on each one. The cool thing is it just makes it come alive when I do that. And we're gonna see the effect of that. And I have to make sure I do it with a pretty dry brush here at the beginning. The water drop painting took me around 2 hours to complete from finish to end, and now I'm ready for the next step. So we are going to flow resin over the entire thing again. By the way, I'm using Stone Coat countertop resin again, and it's going to take about 5 minutes to mix this, so happy. Before on the oil, but it looks like it's holding up to the resin really well, and it's not smearing or anything, which I was a little concerned about, so that's a great thing. And I'm not pushing it too hard there because I want it to be nice and thick around there. And I'm not going to let it run over the edges until I get the entire area coated. I think I need to add more. It's a little thin on this side. Okay, I'm going to get rid of some of the bubbles because there's a whole bunch forming. As you can see, I'm popping the bubbles, and they're forming as I go along, so I'm going to have to babysit this for a while. But this is a good time to start, and I'm going to add a little bit more so it can drip over the sides. Now that I've got the sides coated nicely, I am going over everything with the torch again, getting rid of some more bubbles. And hopefully that's going to be close to it. So I'm done with basically getting rid of any kind of discrepancies on the surface, and I'm going to protect my piece from any kind of dust. And I'm not very elaborate with it, but it works. And so the piece needs to be covered totally. It's been overnight and I am so excited how this turned out. My water drops are great and the resin is clear and doesn't have any bubbles and it's shiny, and I cannot wait to show you. I'd like to show it to you close up. So here it is. In conclusion, I hope you enjoyed that video. It was so much fun to make. If you hadn't watched my last video, I had created the piece. Look at the link and click on that and see the first video of the series of the water drops. Also, any links to any supplies I use, the colorings, they're all down there too. So if you liked it and you love to see more, please subscribe and hit that button on the bell. And thank you so much. See you next time. Happy arting.